Yes, so welcome. The last 2 weeks, some people have accused me of shouting. So I'm hoping that today, as I bring God's word, that I am privileged and I'm thankful first to Pastor Nyamo and Joe, who are our leaders here, for allowing me to share God's word at the pulpit. I don't take it for granted, and I want to say thank you, and may God bless you even as you leaders. Secondly, as you have heard, I'm privileged to share my Father's Day, and I want to give a special happy birthday to my wife. I am privileged to share life with you. I have known you for more than half of your life, and you have really, really blessed my life, and I love you. Yes, she's an amazing woman. Yes, and she helps me spend my wealth. That part is important as well. As men, we are always accused of not knowing how to spend your own money. So you're always giving, remember, especially when you get at a certain age, to start spending your money. Learn to spend your money and enjoy it at the same time. So we are going through a series, Wealth Code. Going back to the fathers, please. This is the only day that is dedicated to fathers. Please milk it. Milk it completely. You know, at least if you have been sorted by God, like me, when I say, happy birthday, happy Father's Day. You know, so whatever you do, you also do. You know, so I'm expecting some flowers after this. So it goes like that. You know, God is in the business of sorting you out. You know these things. So I don't feel any pressure today. And thank you, church, for really honoring us. We feel your love. So in this month series, for those who are not regulars here, we usually have series every month. And this month we have dedicated it to financial literacy, to a series we are referring to as the Wealth Biblical Investment Strategies that Work. That this business of making wealth, this business of managing wealth is not something that is for the world. But in the Bible, God has put nuggets of wisdom through His word that work, that help us. So in week 1, we saw nugget 1, principle 1. We said time is your friend. And we said that with time and the magic of compound interest, then you can create wealth just like that. And we summarized our sermon and said that the best time to start your investment was, and the next best time is. And so we saw how, if you have the advantage of time, for those who are younger, start now. Start as early as possible. Yesterday I had the advantage of having a date with my 15-year-old daughter. And we were discussing money, and she has been making some money through making these bracelets. In fact, she has actually reminded me that I need to book for her a stand. So I don't know why she wants me to spend my money yet again. But she has been making money in these things, and I looked at her bank balance, and I was charged. And so we started speaking about money, and I gave her the same example I told you. I showed her the tables that we saw here, that if you start earlier, then you will be almost assured that if you are consistent, if you are patient, you will actually get wealth. And so I was talking about, you remember we talked about the 25-year-old and we talked about the 35-year-old. Guess what she asked me? Dad, I am turning 15 in September. What if I start at 15? Talk of wisdom. Now I said, now you'll be a multi-millionaire. Because now the other one was showing you'll be a millionaire. Now this one you'll be a multi. And I just pray that even our children would get this wisdom. And that's the wisdom of time. But then we also said, this is not only for the young ones. Even for you who has turned 50 like me and my wife. Now, you are laughing at me the last 2 weeks. Now we are together. Yes. Now we are on the other side of the century. And we thank God for that. Even for us, who can see retirement here, or retirement age, not retirement itself, retirement age here, you still have time. And you can start today. And by the time your productive time, your earning capacity is coming down, you will still have earned something. So this is not a condemnation for those who may not have taken advantage of the time. And then we came back last week. And Solomon in Ecclesiastes reminded us that as in the business of building wealth, we are not to rely on only one source of income. Because if we rely on this one source of income, when it goes down, we also go down. So he said, invest in 7, yes, 8. Invest in as many sources of income as you can. And the reason for that is that when one goes down, the other one compensates for it. And that was our principle. And we looked at the various types of income that we can begin to work around ourselves. And for some, I said, if you're not really comfortable with one area, you're not really well versed, you can concentrate and diverse even within one of your areas. And so today, we'll be looking at yet another principle on passive income. And the title of our message is, Let Your Sleep Be Profitable. Let your be, as you are in dreamland like this. Profit. Not your money coming back. No, profit is doing what? It's coming. Think about it. Some of you woke up very early to go for milk. Did you ask yourself as you're buying Brookside milk, who is the owner of Brookside milk? And what do you think they were doing as you're buying milk? Thank you. Because he does not need to wake up early. And even if he wakes up early, he's just looking at how much of my profits are coming in. Today the sales were not too good. And he can go for a trip to Bahamas and come back and check, you guys, you salespeople, you did not work hard. So if you missed any of these, they are available. You can go for the version that is by our shepherd, Pastor Mureithi, Mavuno. And you can also look, we also in YouTube, there's one for ours, Mavuno Downtown. So check at it and you see. So let's move to the question of the day. Again, if you've been coming to Mavuno, you know we have to have a question of the day. And the question of the day today is, if you did not have to think about money, if money was not used to determine your schedules, how would you spend your day? I would discuss with your neighbor. Money is not my problem. Yeah. Money is none of my... You decide. Some of you are already saying, I will go to the restaurant and I don't have to read the menu from this side going this side. I'll read it now, this side going to this side. For some of you, I will travel. For others, I'll start mentoring young people. So, let's be real. Let's come back to reality. Most of us, money determines everything, including whether you are going to have deep sleep, how long we work, where we live, when we see our relatives, whether you are stressed or relaxed, or whether you can afford to rest. In fact, I know most of the people, as you shared, you said, I would stop working. I would not go to that job again. You don't love your jobs. And my hope is that as we discuss this and we look at this issue of passive income today, that something will click in us and we'll start the journey to what God wants us to be. So our parents, our teachers, our peers, and everyone around us urged us to go to school and work hard. And then after that, what were we supposed to do? You get a fat job, and in fact you're told, no, don't do that career. Do this other one, it's more marketable. So we were pushed to study hard. We were pushed to go to good jobs, enter careers, make the most money we can. And that's understandable. I mean, this was done out of love. But the result is that today, many of us are defined by our jobs. We are defined by our paychecks. We are trapped in our jobs today, and we don't enjoy them. And they don't have a meaning for them. We feel that if we had enough money, we would entertain other options. And so the thinking is, when I make enough money, then I'm going to travel around the world, only for you to get to 60. You have made a bit of money. And then you realize that you cannot sit in that aeroplane for 9 hours because your back is going to be making serious noise. You realize that you cannot enjoy life. So the real underlying issue is the fear of unknown, the fear of losing control, the fear of poverty. You see, most of us are just one generation away from poverty. I even dare say you're one crisis away. For most of us Kenyans, we are actually one crisis away from poverty. And you have seen families even getting into the crisis of medical and get into poverty because we are one crisis away from poverty. So what is the alternative? That's the question most of us are asking. And so because I came from the Presbyterian church, we have a first reading. And our first reading, we have our reading today. Our reading today is going to come from Proverbs chapter 6 from verses 1 to 11. And I'm going to be using New Living Translation just to help us to understand God's word. Now, as you have been coming, you know that I always give a background. Now, the book of Proverbs was authored by King Solomon. Now, this particular part, he is speaking to his children. Last week we saw in Ecclesiastes, he was giving reflective wisdom. Now, if you don't know how we came to say King Solomon is the wisest man in the whole world, go to 1 Kings 3, verses 10 to 12, and you'll see that when King Solomon ascended to power after his father, King David, died, he went to God and said, I'm just a child. Give me knowledge to lead your people in your way. And then the Lord responded to him and asked him, what would you ask me what you want? And Solomon said, give me wisdom. And God commended him by saying, you have not asked for wealth, and so I will make you the wisest, and I'll give you much more than you have asked. And that's how Solomon is the wisest man who ever lived. And so as we read the nuggets today, we'll be looking at a father talking to the children. And the conversation is very alive for today, Father's Day. And look at how it starts, verse 1. My child, if you have put up security for a friend's debt, or agreed to guarantee the debt of a stranger, if you have trapped yourself by your agreement and are caught by what you say, follow my advice and save yourself, for you have placed yourself at your friend's mercy. Now, here, Solomon is advising the son. In fact, NIV says, and saying, don't be casual with debt. Don't be casual with debt. It's not even debt as we know it today. This was even a guarantee. In those days, you'd do the guarantee. So if you work for a circle and you thought that guaranteeing started with these Kenyan circles, sorry, it was there in the Bible. So if you are a guarantor, perhaps this sermon is shouting. But maybe you can say, it's talking about a stranger. The one I guaranteed is not a stranger. But some of us here are already paying because they guaranteed someone, and then the person did not live up to the payments, and they are being deducted because of that. So we are being told, don't treat the issue of debt casually. And look at what the first step is. Swallow. All it is in only my version that is saying this. Swallow your pride. Go and beg for your name, to have your name erased. Now, if you live in Kenya and you have red blood flowing in your veins, you know that you cannot just walk to the bank or to the circle and tell them, nimenyenyekea, please delete my word from the list of guarantors, and then I will not guarantee again. They will actually accuse you of what? Things like mental health. They will recommend you to certain hospitals and things like that. Because they will say, who asked for them to be erased? You don't just say erased. When you want your name to be erased, what do you do to the debt? So this sermon and this word is telling us, don't be casual about debt. And if you have a debt today, start working towards having it paid. That's how you free yourself. And that's what Solomon is telling the son. Don't put it off now. Don't rest until you do it. Save yourself like a gazelle escaping from a hunter. I don't know whether you guys watch National Geographic. And you see how a gazelle runs away from a lion or a cheetah or something like that. I don't know whether you are picturing yourself running from a debt like that. Because that's the way you need to be posturing. And because for some of you, you are not so geographically oriented, Solomon did not leave it there. He added something. Like a bird freeing from the net. So if you are not too much into the big animals, then think about the bird that gets into a net and cannot escape. That's us when we entangle ourselves with debt. Then, God bless parents and fathers in particular, because they know their children. Look at verse 6. Now, verse 6, this is someone who knows. Because it seems like it has changed from nowhere. He was talking very nicely. Look at verse 1. My child. You know, it looks solemn. My child. If you have put up security, it's advisory. But look at verse 6. Take a lesson from the hands. You. Now, why are we being now called other names? That surely we were the child. Now, where did we become? In fact, NIV says what? Go to the ant, you. I can see we have Bible scholars here. You sluggards. It's not me calling you sluggards. Me, in fact, I looked for the version that is actually saying nice things like lazy bones. You know, lazy bones, you are just a lazy and then a bone. You know, you're not so bad. Now, a sluggard. You know, that sounds bad. Learn from their ways. So we are being not sent to Harvard. We are not being sent to, is Dr. Kiama today? Not to Yale. You know, we're not being sent to there to learn how to manage our finances. No. You are being sent to a six-legged insect. That's the one that will teach you its ways. Imagine. Though they have no prince, governor, or ruler, to make them work, they labor hard all summer and gather food for winter. What this word is telling us, these six-legged animals that we need to learn from have understood a certain sequence in life. Now, the sequence in life they have understood is that you will have a productive life, and then you'll have another life that you may not be so productive before you join your maker. So, this six-legged animal understands during this time that I am productive, I need not only to feed myself, but I also need to keep something because there is another season coming, which is a winter, that I may not go out there and be as productive as I am during summer. That's what the word is saying. And then Solomon concludes his message to the son and says, but you lazy bones. Oh, I need to be pointing this side. You lazy bones. How long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little more folding of hands to rest. What this is telling us is not really just talking about sleeping. You know, I don't want you to, I'm not even going to be sleeping now. Me, I'll just be keeping awake. The Bible says not a little more. It's talking about action. You who is saying, my finances are not together. Hey, I don't even want to talk to some Kibara right now. You know, I want to wait until I put things in order. Then we can sit down now when I have everything. You are folding your hands. You are sleeping a little more. And let me tell you, Solomon has a word for you. Let me read it. Then, that is after you have been folding your hands a little more and sleeping. You know that sleep? You know the one of just before morning. You know how sweet it is. I don't know whether you guys are like me. Me, I love sleep. And me, I can sleep anytime, including after this service, I'll be sleeping. And I sleep deep. In fact, there are some days when I have had so much work, I just say, Thursday, I am. Ask my wife here, I will wake up after all those morning things, people have gone to school, then I will actually, we'll make the bed. Then after that, I will take a shower, take breakfast, and then go remove clothes and put pajama again and get into bed. As in, it needs to be recorded that this is phase 2. You know, not phase 1. You know, I don't want them mixing up. true story. Ask her. I mean, and I have not influenced her. It is her birthday. She will tell you the truth. I love my sleep. So he is not talking about literally just sleeping. It is about action. If you're not taking action today, then listen to what? Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Now, Solomon had the option of saying, poverty will walk to you. But the Bible says what? Pounce. Do you understand what pounce means? And what is pouncing on you? Can I finish the sermon? And because some of us may not even be scared, pouncing, I can also pounce. So me and poverty, we are pouncing on each other, like this. So it says scarcity. No, just in case poverty was not sinking, scarcity will attack, not will hug. Even if scarcity was hugging you, it's bad. You understand? Even if scarcity, let me hug you, you wouldn't accept. But now it is not hugging you. It is attacking you. Yani, you are facing this gotok. That was scarcity. That's how bad, as in you don't even know where it's coming from. Any scarcity, poverty, they are all pouncing. Are you understanding? It's the Bible, So that's why today we want to talk about passive income. Passive income is magical. Just like we have spoken about the magic of compound interest, passive income is magical. And I'll share with you a small story. That one of the things that I understood at a certain earlier age was the issue of passive income. And so I would always say that I want to retire by 40. And I know there are so many people in this sanctuary who are echoing me. But then I happened to attend one wealth creation forum. It was not even in church. So you guys are privileged to hear it in church. He said, your solution is passive income. And so I understood that I stopped looking at my payslip and I start calculating my passive income. How much of the life I'm living today can be sustained if I don't come to this work? And that's what we are talking about today. And so we'll be concentrating on the ant principle, verses 6 to 8. Because he says two things about the ant. One, that the ant is self-motivated. It has no commander. It has no overseer. It has no ruler. So for some of us, we are still waiting for that grand push that will help us start this financial journey. Time is moving, and time is your friend. Understand, the ant gets it done, understands the assignment. So prepare now and enjoy in future. Don't let that one crisis wipe you out. The second thing that the ant understands is that there are seasons in life, and we have talked about it. There is an earning season, and there will be a resting season. I know in Mavuno we have talked about financial literacy for quite a while. I know many people here understand about saving, and they are already on a saving journey. However, Many people who are good in saving come to a certain point in time and say, I have been saving for a car, and now I want to buy the car. So they take all the saving and spend it in buying the car, and then they start all over again. That is not what we are talking about here. In fact, we are talking about putting aside 20% of your income for the lifetime that you have the earning capacity. You save well, but you consume it all. They build up savings, but they buy that good car. Or they dip into it to do some things because it's their money anyway. They grow their investment, but they book a holiday and take part of that investment with them in the trip. And I'm not saying it's wrong to spend or to help your family in spending your wealth, like I said. In fact, you should enjoy the fruits once in a while. But what we are saying is that you need to be focused on the winter. And so if you save just to consume, then what you are doing, you're not creating wealth. You are actually delaying consumption. Let me say that again. If you save just to consume, so you save, consume. Save, consume. So you're saying, now these last 10 years like me, I now save. Then now I can have my retirement because I've been saving, consuming. Then what you are doing is you simply delay your spending. So you are a consumer. But we don't save to spend, we save to earn. And so that's why today, when we are talking about the principle of passive income, it is the income that works for us even when we are asleep. Allow me to compare passive income to active income so that we get it right. Now, active income, first, if we look at the source of both, the source of active income is when you exchange your effort and your time and your expertise for money. That's what you have used a short form called job. In your job, you go to exchange your time and your expertise, and you get an income. Now, what you do with that income is all up to you. And in another sermon last year, we said that for us, some of us, we are glorified messengers. We are busy taking money from our employers, and then we quickly take it to the other owners. And then we are left with nothing. Then we go back and say, I am here and I am early. You have come to the job. You earn until the end of the month. Then you pick money. Then you rush again to take to the owners. So what are you? You are glorified? Passive income. Your savings and investment. Money is working for you. It's not the other way around. So even if you're working, what you're doing is that you are enjoying yourself and chasing your purpose. You know, now those are the people who go to job because they love their employer, they love their bosses, you know, and all that. The frequency of active and passive. Active income is earned when you work. If you don't work, you won't earn. But the passive income, whether you work or you don't, money comes in. Control. For active income, you have to have your daily hustle. You have to go to work. You have to clock in. You have to go to your business. You have to replenish supplies. You have to oversee many employees. Passive income just requires planning and patience. It will work for you. Risk. Active income is high risk. It is high risk. You can go to work and say, we are sorry. Your services are no longer required around here. We wish you well in all your future endeavors. And this was my endeavor. So which other future endeavor are you sending me? It is risky. We are sorry to inform you. Thank you. That one seems like they have actually had experience. The other one is it's diversified, it's consistent. Involvement, you are fully there. Even if some of you have been trying to convince me that their Uber is passive income. But 10 times in a day, you have to check where the driver is, whether he has actually added fuel, whether it is active income. If you are not there, even the vehicle will disappear. Not only the fuel and the spares, even the vehicle. Try it. But make sure you have a fallback before you try it. And I'm not saying Uber is bad. Some of us, their blessings are there. But then, you need to diversify. What about examples? Salary, consulting like me, self-employment, profit. Those are active incomes. If you go, sometimes it goes with you. Not sometimes, many times. Passive income. We talked about dividends. Now, this week only. All those who have invested in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, it's not no longer stock, Nairobi Securities Exchange, have added 180 billion in their wealth this week alone. From the last time we talked about diversification, and we talked about the cafe latte. You remember? That story, we don't shout. Pastor Nyamo was not there, so please. We talked about cafe latte. There was a bull run. If you understand about bull and bear run, the market was bullish. Almost all stocks in the Nairobi Securities Exchange this week actually rose up. Now, one of the stocks that influences Nairobi Security Exchange is Safaricom. It controls about 80%. So that's actually the stock that caused the rally. Those who bought Safaricom stock on Friday last week at around 20 bob, it rallied to 25 bob and 20 cents by morning of Friday. So that's what we are talking about. And I don't work for Nairobi Stock Securities Exchange just in case. By the way, this week it may also go down. So before you start praying in the murky waters, make sure that you can have some stable, you have your money markets and so on and so forth. Dividends. So as we look at these differences, it shows you then when you're having active income, and a lot of it, you're using buckets to get water to a home. So you go with the buckets to the river, get the water, and bring it home. But when you are building passive income, you are building a pipeline slowly by slowly. It does not get completed in one day. But each day you complete that pipeline, the water source gets near to your home. Every day, every week, every month. Keep building the pipeline. Finally, the pipeline will connect the water source to your home, and you'll no longer need to go to the river. Unless you want to take a walk. for health reasons. But otherwise, water will be at home. Let me close this message by talking about the freedom number. And before I talk about the freedom number, 9 years ago, I needed to have a very difficult conversation with a certain lady who lives in my house. And she's having a birthday today, and I'm not naming names. And the conversation that we were having was because I needed to leave work. And I was saying, I feel like it's time I want to stop employment and get onto self-employment. And she looked me straight in the eye and asked me, shall we survive? And so we went on a journey. Actually, it was not 9 years, it was a little earlier. And we started looking at all the expenses. And we started saying, school fees, what will cover that? Housing, expenses, what will cover each of these? And we worked the whole of them and said, if I'm not working, this is what is what. And so I eventually got clearance to go ahead. Remember what we talked about yesterday? Me, I'm the adventurers. The other people are there. So for them to have given me a clearance, go ahead, it meant a lot. It means we were somewhere. I had managed to convince. That is, it is a serious issue. I know you guys don't understand what I'm saying. It's a serious issue for your wife to tell you now you don't have to work. And so when I actually left work, I came home. And because I had worked for about 19, close to 20 years in employment, and I had not had any break in between the employment, I decided that I am going to stay home for 1 year to detox myself from a salary. You don't understand how intoxicated you are by a salary. And if you don't understand, just look at your mood swings through the month. And how, around now I can almost tell how, when it's date 15, I will try asking for some serious capital intensive issues around now. You might be called bad names. And so, in essence, I stayed at home for 1 year. So I would wake up. So that's when I actually perfected that art of waking up and then coming back into bed. That's when I perfected that art. And the other thing is that also Wahoo needed to get used to me at home. She's not used. She's used to you waking up and going. So, and her, she had stayed a bit at home with the children and all that. So me, I'm waking up, just buy a newspaper. We stay here. So sometimes she's not sure what she needs to do. The way when this person who does not stay at home is at home, you feel your space is crowded. She would even be opening windows like oxygen is not enough, things like that. But I needed her to get used to, I am here. And then also get used to the fact that imagine we are not sleeping hungry. And then, by the time we are getting to September, life was okay. Now I realize that even if a month can go, another one can go, and money does not have to be cyclical. You are just intoxicated. And it was made for a purpose. And in fact, psychologists sat down and said, 30 days are like a good time to create a habit. So now when a salary is coming, you even start feeling some hormones from the stomach. When it comes, then there's another excitement. You even become wild. Then after that, then it starts coming down. By the time it's getting to about 29, you're even stooping. Like this, you don't even want to see people. Freedom number. What is your freedom number? Your freedom number, listen to me carefully. You need passive income to cover all your expenses. So the freedom number is the amount of expenses, or is the amount of investment that you need to look for and to invest for it to give you a passive income equal to your monthly expenses. Are you understanding? So I don't know whether you are in money markets, whether you are in real estate, whatever it is, you need an investment that is enough to give you an equivalent of your monthly spending. That's your freedom number. So if you're in money markets and your monthly spending is 70,000, then at about an average of 10% per annum, you need 8.4 million investment for you to be getting 70,000 every month, and you can use it for your monthly spending. But of course, you can ask me the question, how can you accumulate such a huge figure? If you save 10,000 per month at 15% return, and Mavuno downtowners, you are middle class proper. You know, middle class proper. So this 10,000 is what you are going to spend after this. If you save that a month in a vehicle that is giving us 15% interest, and that is available here in Kenya, it will take you 17 years to accumulate that figure. So if you are 30, it will take you to 47. So you can say, I will retire at 50. The 3 years is to help me organize myself here and there. And you don't earn 10. You can actually do much more. I'm just giving an example. So stop eating. And you are counting the figure that helps you to live the life you're leading. If you're working for the public sector or for the humanitarian and all that, there's a lot of DSA. There's a lot of going to hotels. That day you have gone to the hotel, you don't spend lunch money. You don't spend transport. Please add the conference package paid by your employer to your salary. Because it is the one helping you to look the way you're looking on your face. You know, because you spent the whole in a 5-star. You won't afford it after you leave your employment. And anytime your employer takes you to Four Seasons, to Enashipai, please take your family there as well. Start getting used. Start saying the way you become entitled that these Enashipai, they're not even doing healthy snacks. Did you pay for them? If you want healthy snacks, you ask for them. So you even know what they are. Why are you I don't like, yeah, did you see? Everything was deep fried. Did you see? Who paid? Okay. Okay. Nimekuwa mpole, sawa. I need to tie up this. But what I'm saying, every single year, when you're starting your year, take yourself on a strategic term review, strategic plan review. The plan that you have, do a strategic review. One of the strategic objectives needs to be building passive income equal to my active income by the time I retire, whenever it is you want to retire. Before I left my last employment, there was a threat to promote me. It was a threat. Can you imagine? I want you to understand why it was a threat. If they promoted me, I was to gain quite substantial active income, and I had not created the active income, the passive income for it. So it meant then I needed to be held back there so that I can now build the passive income that is equivalent to my passive income. So when that rumor, I ran away because I had already reached a point where I was feeling now I can survive on my passive income. And that's why I came and I stayed with Wahoo. We enriched our marriage. We did not get a third baby. I wish we did. You know, things like that. We need to tie up this. We need to tie up these people. There are 3 things I want you to understand, and then we can pray and go. The number 1, know your freedom number. Please go and calculate your freedom number. And your freedom number is calculate all what you need for your living, and then find out how much investment do I need to make? What is the amount of the investment I need to make in whatever investment you want to make that will give me that passive income. Number 2, if you are not already in the saving train, please start saving 20%, at least 20% of your income. For those who are earning much better, please save much more. Create passive income. And the last one is segregate your investments. If you're saving for a particular investment, a vehicle, a home, segregate it from your growth, segregate it from your emergency fund. So there are 3 funds you need to have: emergency fund, growth fund, or asset fund, and a growth fund. Asset fund, growth fund. What is the difference? Emergency, 3 to 6 months. In case something crisis happens, that is where you could go. You need to keep it liquid. It needs to be available to you. Then when we come to the asset, you might want to lock it a little bit. Lock it a little bit so that you don't dip your hand into it. That is for a particular asset. We are saving so that we can afford a home. We are saving so that we can afford this and that. And then finally, the growth fund is what we are talking about that will help you during winter. Those are the 3 things that I want us to remember today. And what I want you to walk away with today is that we don't save to spend, but instead we save